The kin are a race of Abhumans who are descended from the humans of pre-imperial Terra. They are short and squat, standing at around 4 feet, 1.4 meters, tall, but possess a dense muscular and skeletal system that enables them to match the raw physical power of a space marine. The kin are clones, with each kindred sharing the same genetic code. Every kin is gestated and born in mechanical wombs called crucibles under the watchful eye of the Votann. However, despite being clones, each kin is not physically identical due to the engineered stable mutations and unusual phenotypical expressions in their genomes called clone skeins. These alterations provide physiological enhancements beyond the human baseline, such as denser muscular and skeletal systems, greater physical strength, more endurance, and more efficient respiratory and immune systems to combat the effects of ionizing radiation in the galactic core. There are many clone skeins that offer specific physical benefits to the kin, including enhanced reaction times, the ability to see beyond visible light, increased resistance to extreme environments, and many more. These genetic alterations also result in various phenotypic expressions, including unusual skin and eye colors, altered subdermal layers with craggy surfaces or ridges on the cranium or elsewhere on the body, and unusual odors. However, these differences do not lead to prejudice or discrimination among the kin, as they are viewed as valuable marks of enhanced capability. Unknown means were also used to alter the kin's mental acuity and psyches, making them less susceptible to the powers of the immaterium and the effects of chaos. However, this psychic hardening makes true psychers non-existent among the kin, and they are also deeply conservative, stoic, and stubborn. Instead of the psycho mutation, the kin were provided with a psychoactive clone skein expressed among the Grimna, the living ancestors who serve as the kin's primary link with the wisdom of the Votann. These bearers are the only ones capable of activating the advanced barrier technologies that allow limited interactions with the warp. The Ironkin are machine intelligences that have gained self-awareness, and are considered equal citizens of the Leagues of Votann alongside their organic kin counterparts. Created and still manufactured by the Votann, Ironkin possess great cognitive abilities and can mimic kin social behaviors to the point of full integration with League society. Each Ironkin consists of a cerebral unit and a unique mechanical body designed to fulfill various societal roles, such as a combat shock trooper, mining support unit, cargo lugger, or combat pilot. An Ironkin's body is personal to them and requires repair instead of replacement like non-aware machines. However, they can survive with only their cerebral unit and can enter a state of torpor while projecting a distress beacon to nearby League assets. The Ironkin exist to aid the organic kin in all aspects of their lives, but they are not enslaved or treated as subservient menials. They simply find their niche in League society and perform their role to the best of their abilities. While they can imitate emotions and drives, they lack true ambition or a desire to become leaders among their people. In battle, Ironkin fight alongside their organic kin as Hearthkin and often assist broker Ironmasters, providing technical support and entering combat themselves if necessary. Overall, the Ironkin are invaluable members of League society, offering technical expertise and support to their organic counterparts. The Votann are machine intelligences revered by the kin as sacred entities, similar to how other species worship gods. These ancestor cores are part oracle, part ancestral presence, and part self-aware supercomputer, possessing an unparalleled level of artificial general intelligence that the kin hold in high esteem. They are the focus of a secular cult of veneration, which is as close as the kin come to religious belief. The kin consider the Votann to be their own, and by custom, they do not speak of them to outsiders. They use the name Votann but never explain its meaning to others, leaving them to their own interpretation. The kin's relationship with the Votann is exclusive, and no other species have any place in it. This is because other species may mistake the ancestor cores for deities or demons due to their complexity and power. The Votann possess self-organized data stacks and quantum info cores that contain all the information necessary for an intelligent species to thrive in space. This information includes weapon specifications, scientific and philosophical learnings, military and survival theory and strategy, genealogical data, and standard template constructs. The Votann's artificial intellects are so bright that kin voidfarers can use them as beacons within the warp for FTL travel, much like how Imperial navigators use the psychic beacon of the Emperor's Astronomicon. However, the kin do not speak of the Votann to outsiders because in the 41st millennium, knowledge is a precious and dangerous commodity. Unfortunately, the wisdom of the ancestor cores has become increasingly difficult for the kin to access as time has passed. The creators of these incredible machine minds likely did not intend for them to continue operating independently for so long, or to confront the intellectual and moral dilemmas of the galaxy. As more and more information is catalogued and filed away, the Votann's mental storehouses overflow with data. Questions posed to the Votann require them to adapt their processing subroutines through self-guided evolution, and at times, they may even request information or mechanical augmentation. The association with the true living minds of the kin has led some Votann to develop strange behavioral quirks similar to rudimentary personalities. The ancestor cores have become more ponderous in thought, and it may take Terran centuries to receive an answer to a question, which may even lead to another question. Information not regularly accessed has vanished into lost data vaults deep within the Votann's mental architecture, while vital facts or details have become mired in self-replicating layers of data amendments. Solar day by solar day, the ancestor cores become more senescent and in some cases, even mercurial. The Votann are responsible for regulating the genomic data required to breed new generations of kin, as the population has grown significantly. They also accept the accumulated cerebral data of deceased kin and Ironkin, which has led to an excessive amount of duplicated data, drowning even the advanced mind cores of the Votann. This practice was initially practical, as fallen bodies were recycled for nutrients and raw materials. However, over time it has become a religious ritual, with kin desiring to rejoin their ancestors after death. They believe that offering their bodies and minds to the Votann will enrich the machine minds and aid future generations of their people. This belief puts pressure on individuals to live up to the perceived ideals of their ancestors and engage in adventures and battles across the galaxy. This pressure motivates oathbands to become soldiers of fortune in wars of other starfaring races. They can learn much from their temporary employers, including the movements of potentially hostile foes and the locations of rich caches of resources, returning to their people more knowledgeable. Additionally, the tradition of returning to the ancestors is also used to sentence transgressors in kin society. Incarceration is viewed as a waste of resources, and the punishment for cardinal crimes such as murder, extreme wastage, and abject failure is exile. Few ever return from exile, and the Votann are informed of their name, forbidding the transgressor from entering another kindred or league. The true horror of this sentence is not death or loneliness, but rather the inability to join the ancestors. Kin consider this fate worse than death, rendering their life and experiences meaningless. The fear of exile deters lawbreakers more effectively than corporal punishment or religious dogma. The Grimna, also known as the living ancestors, are the ones who are closest to communicating with the Votann. The Lord Grimna, the chief among them, represents the other Grimner in their Kindred's hearthspake and on the Votannic Council of the Kinhost. They have the responsibility of seeking wisdom and guidance from the ancestor cores and interpreting the resulting output within the Fanes, which are arcane technological structures. Each kinhold has a Fane, which is a space of timeless devices and quiet contemplation. At the center of the Fane lies a complex tangle of machinery that serves as an altar and cogitator interface. Originally, these machines were simply nodes through which the wisdom of the Votann was transmitted between voidcraft in the Kin's ancient Long March mining fleets. However, they have since taken on greater spiritual significance to the Kin and are viewed as places similar to temples of other intelligent races. The Fane is where a Kin can stand in the full regard of the ancestors, and the presence of the Votann is felt heavily. In some instances, Fanes have miraculously developed artificial intellect through technological processes that even the Kin do not understand, and have joined the ranks of the Votann. These occurrences are highly esteemed and celebrated among the kindred in whose hold they occur. However, some Votann have degenerated in recent centuries, becoming little more than Fanes themselves. Witnessing such a decline is a terrible tragedy for the Kin. Alliances such as the Capellan League, or the disintegrating Baleratl conglomerate have endured long periods of mourning after their ancestor cores suffered this fate. It is possible that the ancestor cores retain records of all Kin history since their earliest days. However, if such information survives, it is likely buried beyond recovery. Accordingly, even the perennially thorough and practical Kin have been forced to accept that, after a certain point, their ancient histories blur into myth and legend. The Leagues of Votann are named in honor of Votann itself, who is also known variously as the Primal Ancestor, the Gilded One, or the Stone Mind, amongst others. In some Kin myths, Votann was not one being but many and is sometimes depicted as a group of gleaming golden figures or a wheel of graven stone faces. In other myths, Votann fashioned the first crucibles, then raised the Kin up and sent them sailing into the dark void before oceans of fire and flesh rose to swallow them. Some myths speak of Votann as the eldest and wisest of the first ancestors, themselves little more than ill-defined, shadowy presences and shown in many different forms in Kin depictions, both humanoid and otherwise, where they are depicted at all. With typical pragmatism, the Kin accept that their myths are too contradictory, allegorical, and suspect to be cited as possessing a definite basis in fact. None of this troubles them overly. Steeped as they are in tradition and realism, the Kin feel less need than humans to don the armor of faith. They are not frightened by the inexplicable. Instead, they accept reality as they see it to be. If there are matters in their ancient past of which they have no understanding, then, unless those matters suddenly become relevant to their present, the Kin set them aside. Of course, many of the Grimner continue to interface with the ancestor cores in the hopes of asking the right questions, to unlock portions of their ancient history. Most do this more out of simple curiosity and a desire for completeness, however, rather than being motivated by some existential need. For all this, there are certain articles of lost history that all Kin deem indisputable fact. They call these the first truths. It is a first truth that their earliest ancestors departed the Kin homeworld, almost certainly pre-imperial Terra during the Age of Technology, millennia ago aboard fleets of sublight, interstellar generation ships known as Long March vessels. It is a first truth that the Kin were a cloned people from the beginning and that the robotic Ironkin have been with them since those earliest days. It is a first truth, also, that the ancestors of the Kin set out as miners, prospectors, and void dredgers, charged with exploiting the riches of the heavens. Kin myth blends into recorded history around the time their Long March fleets were approaching the galactic core. Why they did not return to the heartlands of humanity's civilization at that time is unclear. From the fact that so many kin fleets plunged into the galactic core within a period of only a few Terran centuries, it might be inferred that a deliberate choice was made. During this era, the final references to the first ancestors can be found, often blending with, or transitioning into, mentions of the ancestor cores. The kin use the two terms interchangeably and collectively refer to them as the Votann. The first ancestors are seen as catalysts of change and are held responsible for the majority of the stable mutations and phenotypical expressions, which are collectively known as clone skeins, that run through the kin gene pool. This pool appears to have been broad, deep, and varied from the beginning, disproving simplistic notions of a cloned race being literally identical copies. The Votann are also believed to have toughened the kin both physically and spiritually. Some accounts suggest that this was in response to a perceived threat, while others claim that it was done to prepare the kin for inhabiting their harsh new home region in the galactic core. The introduction of clone skeins gave the baseline kin denser musculature, tougher bone structures, higher red and white cell counts, and more efficient physiologies that are resistant to hard radiation, resulting in exceptional core physical strength and formidable physical resilience compared to baseline humans. The changes wrought on the kin spirit and psyche were more esoteric but no less apparent, causing their souls to shine much less brightly amidst the tides of the warp than those of humans. The kin demonstrate no uncontrolled psychic mutation, and only those with the appropriate psychoactive clone scheme can activate the so-called barrier tech, which allows psychically active kin to interact with the Empyrean. It is exceedingly rare for kin to fall prey to physical mutation, demonic possession, or the temptations of chaos. Hostile psychic abilities struggle to gain a foothold on them. Some outside observers have suggested that this hardening of the soul has led the kin to become increasingly obstinate and conservative in cultural character. If this is the case, it is just one aspect of a metaphysical feedback loop that has greatly benefited their race over the millennia. In addition to the benefits available to all kin, there are many clone schemes that grant additional useful physical abilities to those who possess them. These include enhanced reaction times and vision that registers infrared or other energistic spectra, limited resistance to extreme temperatures, gravity, or strains of ionizing cosmic radiation, and more. The clone skeins undoubtedly aided the kin in enduring the extreme environments of the galactic core. Many clone skeins manifest physically, such as unusually colored eyes or skin, craggy subdermal layers, chemical body odors, or other characteristics. To humanity, such physical anomalies would likely be grounds for prejudice and mistreatment, but to the kin, they are badges of valuable abilities either bestowed by the ineffable ancestor cores or encouraged by the cloners' guilds during gestation. As scattered kin fleets settled new worlds, established trade routes, and became the first of the Leagues of Votann, obscure legend gave way to historical records in the following centuries. The kin, with the exception of rare outcasts, belong to groups called Kindreds. These groups range in size and complexity between extended families or clans and close-knit, genetically related interstellar nation-states. Kindreds can range in size from a few dozen kin to many thousands, or even millions. All kin within a kindred are clones who have originated from its artificial wombs or crucibles, and thus share a genetic bond stronger than any allegiance to a flag. They usually reside, train, and work within their kindred's home fortress or hold, unless they are abroad amongst the stars for trade, scouting, mineral prospecting, or war. The kin habitually use simple terms, such as hold, with nuanced meaning, being disinclined to waste words. Thus, While the term is used throughout the Leagues of Votann, it can refer to vastly different structures and locations. Some holds are combinations of fortifications, cities, industrial complexes, and strip mines, the largest of which may sprawl across, or honeycomb beneath, much of a so-called hold world's surface. Others may be heavily armed void stations, chains of domes scattered through asteroid belts, nomadic harvesting fleets, mobile matter-energy siphoning plants riding the fringes of black holes to harvest their accretion disks, or even stranger marvels of advanced technology. A kindred can be a commanding force. Its hold may boast bustling cityscapes, industrial and military powerhouses, and many massive void ships. Yet greater still are the alliances or confederations of several kindreds, known as leagues. Nearly all kindreds are part of one or another league, proudly displaying their colors and emblems while sharing trade, military support, guild tariffs, and so on. Many of the Leagues of Votann have existed for millennia. The Great Arthurian League, the YMYR Conglomerate, the Uranus Erta Regulates, the Typhon Styx Protectorate, and others are established and ancient kin power blocks. Some, such as the ill-fated Capellan League, have declined over the centuries, while others, like the Cronus Hegemony or the Sarantorc Mercantile Leagues, are more recently established. At the heart of every kin league lies at least one Votann, also known as ancestor cores. The kin believe these venerable, artificially intelligent thinking machines were created in a lost age of myth and departed their homeworld aboard the first kin mining fleets. The Votann were sent into the void alongside the kin to provide them with all the wisdom and aid they would require. The nodes through which that wisdom flowed have now become the fanes that lie within all kindred holds. The Votann are of incalculable value and importance to the kin. The passage of Terran millennia has wrought strange changes in these machine intelligences, rendering them ponderous and senescent, yet they remain all-knowing repositories of lore and treasured links to the ancestors of untold centuries. Those kin who can commune with the Votann are known as the Grimna or sometimes living ancestors, and are universally respected. The kin are traditionalists who maintain core societal structures and values across all kindreds, guilds, and leagues in their society. These institutions form the foundations upon which kin society is built, and they are revered and protected. The familial bond of the kindred remains strong among the kin and Ironkin, whether they reside within their hold or travel through space as warriors, merchants, miners, or Hernkin rangers. Members of a kindred share a genetic understanding that goes beyond words, creating a sense of unity that binds their armies together and may seem like low-level telepathy to outsiders. Each kindred has a unique name, often chosen based on the ancestor credited with its establishment or a defining feature of its hold world. Some kindreds have basic names, while others have names that reflect their essential natures. The kin often combine these forms to produce unique names for their kindreds. In addition to its people, the heart of every kindred lies in its four pillars. The first is the hearth, which is the plasma reactor that powers the hold's defenses and sustains light and life. The second is the forge, where the broker craft weapons, equipment, tools, vehicles, and technologies to sustain their kindred. The third is the fane, where the living ancestors tend to the ancestor core and impart the wisdom of the Votann. The fourth is the crucible, which uses genomic cloning technologies and artificial wombs to ensure the kindred's continuation as a people. Each kindred is governed by the Hearthspake, a ruling council of guildmasters, senior officers of the kindred's military kinhost, and wise and cunning Grimna. The Hearthspake is held in a large spherical chamber known as the Spakerand, located in the primary hold of the kindred. Although the members of the Hearthspake are genetically related clones, they can be obstinate and are slow to change their minds. Despite this, they are earnest and honest in their desire to guide their kindred well and are keenly aware that the ancestors are always watching. The kin are not prone to politicking or self-interested maneuvering in their political arena. The broker are highly skilled techno-artificers and engineers within the Leagues of Votann. They use the plentiful resources of the galactic core and the technical knowledge of the Votann to craft durable and powerful technology, which contributes to the survival of their species. Each forge is unique, built and enhanced over centuries to the specifications of the kindred and Votannic wisdom. However, all forges are centers of activity, illuminated by molten fires and plasma arcs, and equipped with advanced machinery, from personal workstations to massive auto foundries. In addition to supervising the work of their COG robot assistants, each broker takes pride in constructing their own devices. They follow traditional schematics, but also apply their own ingenuity and field tests to improve upon the designs, in order to honor the Votann. Through this process, each broker develops a signature style, which is recognized by their fellow broker, and eventually adopted by the kindreds and leagues. The broker prioritize reliability, utility, and efficiency over decorative elements or rituals when creating new technologies. Kin technology and war gear are rugged and pragmatic, reflecting the nature of their wielders, and will endure until they fulfill their duties, even if it means being battered to destruction. The kin have a unique ability to navigate warp space with greater safety than other spacefaring races due to their fortified souls and advanced technologies. Even those kin who possess the psychoactive clone gene are not true psykers in the traditional sense, unlike humans. Rather, their souls emit a faint light that can interact with certain barrier tech devices, including ancestral warding staves and armored crests, which can simulate psycho-like abilities. When held by these psychoactive kin, these devices become activated, emitting a soft hum of energy and glowing with an eerie witchlight. Through the careful manipulation of these barrier tech devices, the Grimner and Embir are able to utilize the energy of the warp to create effects that resemble those produced by true psykers in real space. The kin are known for their expertise in spacefaring and have been exploring the void since their earliest days. Their starships are some of the largest and most formidable in the galaxy, with even their smaller vessels rivaling most cruisers in terms of armor, shielding, and firepower. In real space, kin starships use electromagnetic scoops to power hydrogen ramjets, allowing them to achieve ballistic trajectories despite their immense size and mass. When it comes to FTL travel through the warp, the kin are equally adept. They utilize superior warp drives and Geller ramparts that are more reliable and advanced than anything currently known by humanity. Each kin voidcraft is commanded by a Voidmaster, a highly skilled starship captain who is often augmented to enhance their abilities. They are supported by Ironkin wayfinders, whose accelerated logic cores allow them to navigate the dangers of warp space without risking psychic interaction. During their travels through the immaterium, kin voidships make use of short, controlled warp jumps known as plunges. This allows them to harvest energistic gains and salvage from warp-borne space hulks while minimizing risk. Although this method of travel takes longer than the large warp jumps used by human vessels, or the risky sprints employed by the TAUAL-38 slipstream module, it ensures that the kin arrive at their intended destination almost every time. Guilds, which are employment-based civilian organizations, have become prevalent in kin society, uniting individuals who perform a particular occupational role or provide a particular service within a region of kin space. These organizations are governed by guild masters who establish standards for guild accreditation, expected levels of workmanship, and the tithes their members levy. The most prominent guildmasters also attend their kindred's governing hearthspake to represent the civilian kin in their guilds. In theory, the guilds are independent of any kindred affiliations, and are intended to promote fair competition across kin space without political loyalties carrying undue weight. However, in practice, smaller guilds tend to have limited influence beyond a single hold or kindred, and guild affiliation is not mandatory for all kin. Guild members often view freelancers, those without a guild membership, with suspicion, while freelancers may criticize guildsmen for being too inflexible. When larger guilds extend their reach across multiple kindreds, there is no guarantee that another group of kin won't establish a competing guild, leading to heated competition. The crossfire of such competition has caught other starfaring races, as competing guilds sponsor oathband expeditions into rich star systems, prioritizing beating their rivals over the luckless civilizations already inhabiting contested worlds. Despite their fractious nature, the guilds are indispensable to kin society, facilitating trade, commerce, and transit between kindreds. They provide organizational administration and support throughout the leagues, from star mining and gravitic fracking to military supply chains, voidcraft repair, the provision and preparation of food and drink, and the construction of homes and holds. Thanks to the guild's competition and high standards, every aspect of kin manufacture and distribution functions more efficiently. The Votann, a group of human descendants who settled in the Galactic core during the human Long March mining fleets, formed the first leagues. These leagues were originally military alliances formed to protect the valuable ancestor cores possessed by certain kindreds. However, as time passed, they became mutually beneficial alliances comparable in size and culture to star-spanning nations. Each league is identified by the ancient heraldic colors and logos of one of the Long March mining fleets, which only the kindreds belonging to the league may use in a respectful manner. As each league's territory within the Galactic core became established, specific cultures, specialisms, and outlooks began to emerge among its member kindreds. For example, the Great Arthurian League kindreds specialize in trade and prospecting and are known for their mercenary tendencies. The Trans-Hyperion Alliance kindreds are explorers and voyagers with a puritanical drive to enrich the Votann through discovery, or military conquest. The Cronus Hegemony and Grendel Dominance kindreds are warlike, with the Cronus Hegemony kindreds being notorious for their mechanized assaults and willingness to declare grudges at the slightest provocation. The Jotun Eridani combine is renowned for their craftsmanship and forging, while the Uranicerta Regulates are known for their stoicism and self-reliance. The Gulo industrial complex is unmatched in the fields of void mining and terraforming, and the Typhon Styx Protectorate boasts the greatest and most indomitable fortifications. These are just some examples of the many leagues of Votann scattered throughout the Galactic core. The kin themselves do not know the full extent or composition of these alliances, as it is not uncommon for kindreds to leave one league to join another. Some leagues have declined in power and importance and fragmented, while others have been destroyed by war, tragedy, or the emergent warp storms of the newborn Great Rift. New leagues have also been founded, sometimes in far remote territories, or refounded in name by those who wish to honor ancient leagues believed to be long lost. The kin who belong to the Leagues of Votann are known for their pragmatic approach to battle. Their leaders appear almost dispassionate, as they base their military strategies on the calculation of risk versus reward and the survival of their people, just as they do in all other aspects of kin society. Although the kin are bellicose in war, their soldiers display bellowed oaths, grim humor, and booming war songs. However, in the face of overly costly victories, their forces have been known to abandon valuable positions or withdraw from fierce battles without hesitation. This is not cowardice or panic, but rather a somber acceptance that sacrificing lives and resources for Pyrrhic victories is a foolish trade. Kin military doctrine stresses the importance of leaders' ability to calmly assess enemy threats, even in the heat of battle. Kin military leaders must remain stoic as they survey the enemy, determining which hostile forces pose the most significant danger and, therefore, warrant prioritization. This skill, known as casting the eye of the ancestors, enables kin war leaders to quickly determine which enemies are the most dangerous, where enemy defenses are weakest, and how much of their resources to allocate to each threat to balance success against cost. A grudge in the Leagues of Votann refers to a solemn oath made by an individual kin, a kindred, or even a whole league to eliminate a specific enemy, regardless of the cost in lives or resources, in order to gain revenge or redress an unbearable insult. Although the kin are generally level-headed, there are some adversaries whose actions test their patience to the limit. Enemies who repeatedly shame and insult the leagues, inflict great horrors upon the kin, or become persistent thorns in their side, may be the focus of a grudge. In such cases, the kin seem to lose all sense of perspective, becoming single-minded in their pursuit of the enemy, even if it leads to their own destruction. At times, kin form grudge bands, taking solemn oaths to quest and fight together until either the grudge is settled or all the kin who swore the oath are slain. This behavior may seem anachronistic or even hypocritical to outsiders, as it is a stark contrast to the pragmatic doctrines that dominate kin society and govern their actions. However, to the kin, the idea of grudges is deeply ingrained and natural. They believe that any failure to eliminate such enemies would invite the harsh judgment of the ancestors. The Leagues of Votann control vast territories in space, including star systems with a diverse range of life forms and environments. Each league's ident beacons mark their claimed territories, which can range from a single hold world, nomad flotilla, or void station to multiple star systems with population centers, resource harvesting facilities, and military power on par with minor alien empires. A league typically consists of a half-dozen to a score of kindreds, allowing even a single league to hold sway over a considerable region of space. While civil war between kindreds or leagues has occurred in the past, such conflicts are considered dishonorable and wasteful by the kin, and they are typically rare. Established boundaries are seldom shifted, as they become traditional to the kin, and any changes usually occur due to revised trade agreements, kindred defections to other leagues, or hostile alien invasions. The kin consider any unclaimed regions of space open for conquest, regardless of whether other intelligent races already inhabit the area. Peaceful cohabitation or mutually beneficial trade agreements are preferred, but military conquest is not off the table if it is the only viable strategy for adding new territories to a league. Such impersonal invasions can be as unsettling and belittling to the defenders as any hate-fueled crusade of slaughter, as the kin view them as mere obstacles to be removed. Some kindreds have formed alliances with non-kin species for centuries, working together against invaders and pirates. At the start of the era Indomitus, the emergence of the Great Rift and multiple warp storms caused chaos throughout the galactic core and beyond. Several warp storms, including Augver, Torol, Og, and Cyclop, swallowed star systems, consumed kindreds, disrupted trade routes, and left many leagues either embattled or fractured. The kin do not consider the Great Rift as a single entity, instead naming each of the warp storms as a separate threat to overcome. As the warp storms expanded, stable celestial phenomena mutated, and hostile alien races, such as the Septrix, Krobdipheraphagites, and Cult of On, were driven to war. Some warp storms, such as Augver and Gyrok, unleashed chaos-worshipping invaders and demonic horrors, and Orc War. erupted from their fringes. The Battle of Orgver is an ongoing conflict between the forces of Chaos and the Thurians, who have mustered all of their military might to confront the new Stormward front that emerged in their territory. The Thurians and other Leagues of Votann sought new territory beyond the core to avoid similar threats. The universal upheaval caused human, Ealdari, and Tau interlopers to appear in the core, leading to conflicts as they fought to escape or claim territories for themselves. The kin fought back with equal intensity. The assembled military forces of the kin, known as the kin host, are a formidable fighting force that includes infantry, artillery, war engines, and auxiliaries from groups like the Ironkin and Thonian mining guilds. The kin host is primarily built around a core of soldiers of the line, with the Hearthkin being the most common. These kin soldiers are citizen soldiers with professional interests outside of military service, but are trained as rigorously as elite warriors from other races. They possess excellent discipline and martial skills, and only those who can pass rigorous tests of endurance, marksmanship, aggression, tactical acumen, and courage can join their ranks. Hearthkin soldiers have cloned schemes that are suited to their ambition, such as being more resilient, swift, or able to heal rapidly. They also benefit from cybernetic augmentations such as organs, limbs, cerebral communication chips, and ocular targeting implants. Each kin's forge prioritizes arming and equipping their kin host soldiers above all else, so the Hearthkin are outfitted with hardened void armor and a range of powerful weapons. Despite being considered infantry rank and file, no kin soldier of the line is seen as expendable, and every warrior is considered a valuable combat asset and family member of the ancestors. Field medics are trained in first aid and limited engineering to provide care to injured Ironkin soldiers. Kin host military doctrine emphasizes intelligent use of lives and material, with strong bonds of loyalty and camaraderie within each Hearthkin squad and leadership from heroic leaders. Soldiers of the line with particular aptitude may be given additional training to wield specialist weaponry or serve as scanner operators and communications officers. Those who show drive and aptitude toward leadership may be promoted to the rank of Thane or squad leader. Kin who excel at war may be selected for the elite Einhi formations or become Cole, war leaders and generals who stand apart from the Einhi's elite strike troops and bodyguards. The kin military unit known as an Oath Band is a flexible and variable force that often forms the fundamental military organization of the kin hosts. When a kindred mobilizes their forces, all available kin soldiers, combat vehicles, voidcraft, and any attached Ironkin, Thonians and other units are organized into one or more oath bands. The size and composition of an oath band can vary greatly, from a small group of warriors under a single commander to an army of millions of kin supported by all the machinery of interstellar warfare. Sometimes, an oath band may simply be drawn together from whatever kin military forces are available at the time in response to a dire need. Despite their variable size and composition, all oath bands have an ultimate commander, typically a Cole, to whom all its warriors swear an oath of service. This oath remains in effect until the oath band's goals or military objectives are achieved, or until their leader releases them to fight elsewhere. The kin's ability to operate with such a flexible and seemingly ad hoc military structure is due to their close subconscious bonds, as clones and shared sense of purpose. Once in the field, they are able to function efficiently and effectively with little to no confusion or difficulty. The Leagues of Votann refer to various confederations of Abhuman clones known as the kin, who are short and robust. These advanced, starfaring people have highly developed technology and inhabit resource-rich worlds within the galactic core. They share their lives with self-aware robotic constructs called Ironkin, which they regard as full societal equals. Despite being a sanctioned Abhuman subspecies of humanity, the kin have been misidentified by humans and other xeno-species as different Abhuman or alien species. However, the kin's earliest surviving records establish an ancient link between their ancestors and the sublight, generational Long March mining fleets sent out by pre-imperial Old Earth, confirming their Abhuman designation. The kin comprise various Leagues of Votann, which are divided into kindreds, similar to clans or nation-states, and are ultimately led by a self-aware machine intelligence known as a Votann or ancestor core. The kin regard the Votann with near worship, and when they die, each kin and Ironkin's cerebral data is uploaded into their kindred's Votann, referred to as returning to the ancestors. The kin are courageous and determined, and their armies are structured into military units called oath bands, which are flexible in size and composition. However, they are also ruthless in war and will destroy anything that threatens their people's survival. As the emergence of the Great Rift causes upheaval in the galactic core, the Leagues of Votann are coming into conflict with other starfaring races more than ever before.